Somebody needs to tell WWE and Triple H that the whole Survivor Series thing, yeah, it's not working. In today's video, I want to talk about something that I feel like is flying under the radar. And when it comes to Survivor Series, I think in a lot of ways it's an outdated concept. I think that there's something about this pay-per-view event that has made it feel not that special in many, many years. Now, sure, WWE bringing back War Games a few years ago, that was a major deal because I think fans had been waiting for it to see it on the main roster. And certainly in NXT, it was a very positive move, right? I think War Games is a great match. I think it's a cult following. I think it's a fan favorite match. But I would also say that WWE has an issue with pressing it, with just enforcing it. And in a lot of ways, they do this with their other matches. They do this with the ladder matches. They do this with Money in the Bank or Royal Rumble or any of the other matches where, well, if the men are doing it, then the women do, right? Or if we have a women's War Games match, well, of course, we have to have a men's War Games match. And I don't think you do. I actually have a solution to WWE's problem with Survivor Series. I think it's right in front of them. It's just a matter of, are you going to take this idea or not? And clearly WWE, they don't know what to do with Survivor Series. And I think case in point, this is why. WWE for years did the traditional Survivor Series elimination matches where WWE started running out of ideas as to why people were teaming with each other to the point where they did the whole, and it was stupid, brand supremacy angle, right? Where Raw and SmackDown talents would go together, and you'd have Raw versus SmackDown. Then they incorporated NXT, and then they switched to War Games. And it just seems like WWE is grasping at the straws when it comes to Survivor Series and what to do with it. They don't really have an identity anymore. They brand the event as Survivor Series, brand supremacy, or Survivor Series War Games, right? But I think at the end of the day, just like in previous years with traditional Survivor Series matches, WWE forced themselves into, well, it's Survivor Series, so we have to have all these people come together, and it's repetitive, and it's redundant, and it's a little bit old. And then they kind of incorporated that into War Games without even knowing it. Because what would happen back in the day? There would be a reason as to why all of these stars would get together, and it was a special thing. It wasn't just an annual thing, it was a special thing. And I understand that WWE likes to use templates in tentpole events, a la, okay, July, we're doing Money in the Bank, and, February and January, it's the Royal Rumble, right? You have tentpole events, and I'm fine with that, but I think that you need to be very cautious in what you're doing. And WWE doesn't know what they're wanting out of Survivor Series. I think case in point of booking a traditional Survivor Series match on SmackDown the night before is case in point of that of, well, do we bring this back or do we not? And well, we have to have a women's War Games or we have to have a men's War Games. I think it's very simple. Every year you look at the card, you look at your talent, you look at the storylines and you go, okay, do we need a men's War Games or a women's War Games? Do we need a men's traditional Survivor Series match or do we need a women's traditional Survivor Series match? Do we even need War Games to begin with? Right? I think rotating 1 year on, 1 year off, or 2 years on and 1 year off, I don't think that's a bad thing either. I think WWE just needs to find consistency. They need to find what they want out of War Games, what they need out of War Games. And I think if they can answer that question of, okay, what's the point of War Games? What do we want out of War Games? And how can we execute on War Games? Then I think they're going to be well better off. And I think the WWE fan base is going to be well better off. But this forcing, well, we have to have a men's War Games and we have to have a women's War Games, I don't think it's necessary. And I think it's actually netting you a lesser ROI on the idea and on the branding. Because what happens if, WWE said, well, what if we just did a traditional Survivor Series this year and then the next year we could do War Games? Well, okay, I'm good with that idea because it keeps both match types, match gimmicks, I guess, as a way to help things, help the brand of Survivor Series, which has always been the bottom of the 4, now the 5, right? It's just, it always has been, probably always will be. So I think if WWE can just, hey, we don't have to have 2 War Games matches every year. We don't have to have 2 Survivor Series traditional elimination matches each year. I think if you just go with the flow, as just simplicity as possible, as simple as that sounds, I think you're actually in a better spot.